Hello, everyone, and welcome to this 10th episode of the Gaming Garden podcast, where we discuss everything related to foreign games. I'm your host, Josh, and today I'm joined by a fellow content creator here on YouTube who does a lot of content, reviews, live streams about cozy games. He's also one of the hosts of the Slow Burn podcast, another podcast about cozy games. So we have Pat from Nintentalk. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me. You've had everyone on the Slow Burn podcast now. You had Peyton, Min, so
Yes, it's so amazing to have you. You're the final one, and you're also our first male guest on the podcast. There's
yes,
not that many of us covering cozy games, so it's gonna be nice to have a little bit of a maybe a different perspective from
for
all the
sure.
other guests that we had. And yeah, today we have. Before we start, if anyone is not familiar with your content yet, how would you describe what you're doing?
Yeah, so I feel like kind of what you get from Josh's channel, you could see a little bit on mine. So I do like first looks, reviews. I'll do certain list videos. I made a video like best cozy games without farming, and cheap cozy games was the most recent one I did. And then, like Josh said before, I do have a podcast on Spotify with and other platforms with Nintendo Gaming and Peyton's Corner. So yeah, cozy content, still Animal Crossing streams. So yeah.
Amazing. Make sure to put the link to your podcast in the description as well. So if our listeners are craving more chats about foreign games, cozy games, uh, they will be able to find you. And today we have quite an interesting topic. So recently we're getting more and more farming games, more and more cozy games. Not all of them are great, and you all have different tastes. We will be discussing the games that we regret playing or regret buying. It doesn't necessarily mean they're bad games. Some of you might like those games, but we'll just share our personal opinions on some of these games as our main topic. And at the end, we'll be covering some news. So we have a new trailer for Outbound, which is a cozy game where you're in a caravan. There's lots of caravan games lately. We'll also have a first look at Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home. This game is launching this month, and they have their first trailer that we'll have first look at. We've not seen it before, and we'll give you our first thoughts. And also, there's a bit of a restructuring with Marvelous, so we'll discuss that at the very end. But first, we will have a look at some of the games that released this week. So on August 7th was the release for Creatures of Ava for Steam, Xbox Series X and S. It's also on Game Pass. And I know it's not really like a farming game. It's more like an open world action adventure with creature taming. I'm not sure if there's creature taming actually. I don't know too much about this game, but I've seen a lot of people very excited for it. Pat, have you played this or do you know anything? I know there was a demo a few weeks back. Do you know anything about Creatures of Ava?
So I have not played it. I actually saw that this was available on Game Pass, which that's how I play a lot of cozy games. Like Magical Delicacy was on there. I'm very excited about this one. I actually do like the art style. It's kind of giving me like Disney a little bit, like that
Mm.
Palia sort of Sims art style. But yeah, I've been hearing a lot of hype about this one for sure.
Yeah, I've been hearing what I've heard is that it's quite demanding. As you can see if you're watching the footage, it's a very beautiful game. I've heard a lot of people were having some issues running this on their PC if they didn't
Uh,
have like a proper gaming PC. I wonder if the Xbox version looks as good or if there's any like differences.
mhm.
But yeah, I don't know if I will be playing this one. It looks very interesting, but there's just too many games. It's getting hard to decide. Like, I have to
Yeah.
accept that I can't play
Yeah,
everything.
I think Min was saying that this game had a lot of it was a huge tutorial, so there was like a lot coming at you. So it
Mm.
kind of seems like a little bit more difficult. But yeah, you're right. Like there's so many games coming out. Like, will this make the cut? We'll have to see.
So that is Creatures of Ava, and another release we had this week. Also, not necessarily a farming game, but a lot of people in the cozy gaming community has been talking about this one, Cat Quest 3, which lets you play as a pirate Cat. It's an open world game that gives you a lot of freedom. There's combat. There's lots of quests. You sail. You explore different islands. Have you played Cat Quest 3, Pat?
I've not played Cat Quest 3, but I did play the first Cat Quest, which was a pretty early Switch game. Was this originally a mobile game? I don't remember. It kind of like plays sort of mobily, but I love how the like map is also like the world that you play in. I think this is cute though. I don't know if I would consider this one cozy, but it's definitely like cute looking.
It is very cute. I think it's hard to determine what
Yeah.
is a cozy game. Sometimes, like this one, everybody in the cozy gaming community is talking about it, like
Mhm.
reviewing it and everything. But I don't know if it's because there's a cat. I feel like if you
Yeah.
put a cat as a main character, then all the cozy gamers will be interested in it. But at its
It is a
core,
good
yeah,
game. It's fun. Yeah.
yeah, it looks very beautiful. I love the animations. I love the colors. Um, yeah, just like you, I don't know if it's really like a cozy game,
Mhm.
but it looks adorable. And I think if I had to choose between this one and Creatures of Ava, I think I would probably lean towards this one. So hopefully I find the time to play it
Mhm.
a little bit later. But I think for anyone that liked the first Cat Quest games, they should probably enjoy this one. And it's on Steam, Switch, PS4, 5, Xbox Series XS. Um, no Game Pass, but it's pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. And this is also a series where you don't necessarily have to play the first and the second one. It's kind of like a series that just keeps getting better and better. So, yeah, if you're worried about missing out on something, the story isn't, it's basically a hack and slash like dungeon explorer. So,
Hmm. Yeah, it looks like a very mindless kind of
mhm.
game where you don't have to think too much. There's probably like not that many different like complicated mechanics. It seems very,
Yeah.
very simple, very chill. So I might give this one a try. But I think what most people are playing right now, I feel bad for these games because everybody has been obsessed with Field of Mystria.
Mhm.
And last week, we did a whole episode with K Daisy about Field of Mystria and everything we liked, and a few things we disliked or could be improved about the game. But I know you started playing a little bit after us. So how has been your time with this game so far? I'm curious to see. Are you like everybody else? Are you really enjoying it, or are you? How do you feel?
Yeah, I am really enjoying it. I think it's always like nerve-wracking a little bit when you get these games that are very hyped and they finally release and you're kind of scared like will it live up to the hype? I think it does. Um I don't know about you. I kind of want your opinion on this, but I do think early access is holding it back a little bit, especially they put out the roadmap of updates and it's getting like a pretty sizable update Q4. So I'm kind of wondering if they should have waited a little bit longer on this game, but nothing really was out when they released this, so it might be a good time. Uh, I do have a couple of gripes with it. I do think that the day lengths are a little on the shorter side, which I've seen your opinions
That's
on.
what I
Like,
love. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, we're very different on that, but it's a good thing because I never wake up in that game and I'm like, what do I do? Like, there's always something to do, which I do like, but I think it would be nice to at least get the option. And then with the weapons taking up inventory slots, that's very much like old school cozy games. But yeah, I'm loving it. I love the music, love the characters, and it just looks very promising because it's not even, what would you say? It's like 40% done, 50% done.
So I finished. I played for 1 year. I think I'm like 35 hours into the game right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like the first year felt pretty complete. Like I
Mm-hmm.
always had a main quest to work on. I was working on the beginning of my relationships with everybody, getting to know the different characters. I went through floor 60 in the mines. So I feel like throughout my first year, I always had something new to do, and I didn't get that early access feel you get with certain games where there's lots of bugs, or you're trying to enter a building, it tells you, "Oh, sorry, you can't come here during early access." I didn't feel any of these walls that like make you feel like you're really in early access. But after 1 year and like maxing out my relationships, getting to level 60 in the mines, having done most of the main story, now I'm starting to feel like I just have to wait for new
Yeah.
things to be added. So overall, I don't mind that it is early access because everything they've done is like so good. But I
Mhm.
just want to play more, and I kind of have to wait. So it's tough. I feel like they could have waited a little bit more and just do a full release.
Yeah.
But also now they're gonna get feedback from people, so maybe they will add a slider to, like, if you want longer days. Maybe
Mhm.
they will do something with the inventory because, like you said, the inventory is very small and you have like 7 or 8 different tools, like at the beginning of the game, that takes your whole bag almost.
Mhm.
So hopefully with the feedback, they can change a few things. Also, I don't want them to change too many things
I
because
know.
I
I
really
want them to
love,
keep the
yeah,
core.
yeah. Mm, I just love how fast paced this game is, and that's part of what makes it so addictive because the days are short, and you're always like, oh, just one last day, just one last day, and
Mhm.
it's hard to stop playing, and you're always like making progress. And
Yeah.
it's been a while since I felt like this with a farming sim.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I don't think this game should have like 40-minute days because I feel like then you would start seeing, like what do I do?
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I was talking to Peyton and she said that there's like only one festival in the game right now, like only spring.
Yes, that would be actually my only gripe that I like thing I noticed in my first year. There's one festival in spring, and you even
Mhm.
have characters like Hayden at one point talks about the animal festival, but the animal festival is not in the game yet.
Oh,
So even though you always have something to do, some of the weeks and days can feel a bit repetitive because you don't have the festivals, which I think are important to break up the pace of the gameplay and make things a little bit different.
yep.
So yeah, I guess for the festivals, I'll have to wait for them to get added. I hope there's at least like 1 or 2 per season. I don't know how many
Mhm.
they're planning. That's one thing I love about farm games. The first festival was pretty fun. You had to collect like these little flowers for 3 days before the festival by doing like different activities,
Mhm.
and then the player who had the most flowers got like a reward, like some furniture and stuff. So it was a fun festival, but if someone wants the full experience, also I think if you're really into the character relationships, since now they're locked at 4 hearts, it might
Mhm.
be hard for some people to get to 4 hearts and then get a lot of cutscenes and then have to stop playing.
Yeah.
So for some people, if you're already busy with so many games, it could be a good idea to wait.
Mhm. Do
Yeah.
you think this is when they do update, like with the future like things that they were talking about on the roadmap? Do you think we're gonna have to restart, or do you think it's just gonna be like keep going?
I don't think someone mentioned to me, I've not seen it myself, but someone told me during my live streams that the developers have said, I think on their Discord or Twitter somewhere, that you shouldn't have to restart.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
So I can't confirm 100%, but I'm pretty sure about that.
Mm,
And just because the beginning of the game is all like done and fleshed out, I don't think they're going to change things. They're just like
mhm.
adding things further in the game. So I don't think it should be worth restarting because I don't think the beginning will be any different, if
Yep.
that makes sense. So hopefully it's not like Coral Island, for example. I restarted like 3 times, and by the time the full release was out, I was kind of burnt out on the game, especially like the beginning portion of the game.
Mhm.
So I hope we can just keep going, especially as like I already have like 35 hours into it, so I don't want to
Yeah.
restart.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying it, and I really like the upgrade system where like you upgrade your different skills at the dragon statue and
Hmm.
stuff. So yeah, you can kind of like customize the way that you're playing. If you're fishing more, you can upgrade that. If you're doing the mines, you can do that. So I think it's great, and a lot of people are asking like, should I wait on this? Should I get it in early access? I feel like you should just dive in because it's even more fun joining in with the hype of it all and so I think early access there's enough game there, but
Hmm.
just go into it expecting like like you said there's only four hearts, four
Yeah.
cutscenes, so it is limited but it's still really fun.
And the price is worth it too. It's like 13
Hmm.
US dollars right now. It might go up with the full release, but I think it's worth getting. So do you think you'll try to max out everything you can do in the early access and then wait, or do you think you'll like stop earlier and just wait for updates? What's your
No,
plan with this game?
I think I'm gonna dive in. I think I'm gonna, do everything I can. I would love to, because I'm really interested in the NPCs. That's one thing that is really hooking me right now. Every Friday night they have their own, Dungeons and
Yeah.
Dragons thing. The dialogue is really clever, and I like all the scenes too. So it's very addicting, not only because it's short days, and I feel like I'm always doing something, but the characters, I just want to learn more about them. So it's going to be hard for me to just like put this one down. So I think I'm going to max everything out. And yeah, I mean, if I have any critiques and stuff, I could always tell them. So, but yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it.
So much fun. It's definitely a hard game to put down. I've been trying to. I have to make videos. I have to play other games, but I just want to. This game is on my mind 24/7, and it's so hard to put it down. But as much as this game is fun, there are lots of games that are not as great as this one. We both play so many games every year. Some of them are quite disappointing to the point where we regret playing them, regret buying them. What is one game for you? What game would you like to start with that really disappointed you?
Oof. I think we should start with the one that we have on both of our lists. Should we start there?
Yes, we should.
All
So,
right.
Hoko Life.
Hoko Life is definitely one. And I think I don't know when it really came out because I remember there wasn't a whole lot to play. This was supposed to be like an Animal Crossing. When like a lot of people compare things to Stardew and Animal Crossing, this
Mhm.
literally was like you're looking at the footage now, you're literally talking to animals. I do think this game did have a lot of promise, and I still, am kind of curious where they go from here. But for me, it was a lot of the character design that I just really didn't care for. I thought the animals were like borderline creepy. The player characters were just a little bit weird, but there is a lot that I like about this game. But for you, because you have it on your list, like what was the big thing?
Yeah, for me, this is a game I wanted to love so much. As you said, it came out at a time when there was maybe not as many releases as now. I was mostly covering Animal Crossing on my channel, and then this came out in early access. I was so excited for it. But I found that, first of all, the animals are creepy. I think they
Mhm.
changed the design at one point. At first, they were like really cute, but now they just look like people in animal costumes.
Yeah.
And I don't know, they are a bit creepy. I found the controls clunky, like there is farming, but it just didn't feel right. And one of the main features that really got my interest with this game was how you can build furniture from scratch. I don't know
Mhm.
if you played My Sims, that Sims spin-off on the Wii where you
Yep.
could like build furniture like that. It was very similar. And that's something I've been wanting to see in the game. Um, but it just didn't work well. I played on PC. I know it's on Switch as well. I played on PC, but even with the mouse, with the mouse and keyboard, it was so hard to build anything. Like I think one of your first quests was to build a bridge, and I just struggled so much to build that bridge, and it was not that enjoyable. I think there is a big community for this game. They regularly do contests like furniture building contests and things like that. So I think there is an audience for this game that really like enjoys it a lot.
Mhm.
I think it has pretty like positive reviews as well on Steam.
Yeah, I
But I don't
remember
know.
that furniture making. It's kind of like an Animal Crossing when you're sharing patterns. So immediately when I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, a community is going to form here. And I do remember a lot of cool furniture being built. Um, but on Switch, the controls were even worse. Like
I can imagine.
it's pretty impossible to even build anything. Like so, yeah, it was just a miss.
I can't even imagine playing this on the Switch. How does it run?
It actually runs well,
Mm,
but the controls for the furniture building are you can definitely tell that they were, PC first and then console second, but it does run pretty well, I will say that.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was made by a pretty small team. I don't know if it's a solo developer. They did the best they could, but yeah, I was just really disappointed because I wanted to enjoy, I wanted to love this game. I think it has great ideas and would love to see maybe another team try to do something similar, kind of the same vein as Animal Crossing, but with more furniture customization and things like that, and something on PC because we don't have that many Animal Crossing like games on PC.
Hmm.
So I thought that this could have been a nice alternative, but
Yeah, I wouldn't
yeah.
mind a sequel. I
Mm,
would definitely check out a sequel, but I think the characters need to redesign those.
yeah. Well, they redesigned them. That's the worst part. Is that
Or yeah, bring them back then.
yeah, bring back the old characters. Yeah, that's such a shame. Another game that I was disappointed by, and I think you actually enjoyed that game, if I'm not wrong, is Potion Permit.
Yeah, I want to hear this. I want to hear this.
Yeah, so this game I was so excited for, and I gotta give it to them. The art style is great. I think the story is interesting. The music, the visuals. This game has a lot going for it. Also, I played it on the Switch. It had a few technical issues, but overall, it ran pretty well on the Switch. But I just found the gameplay loop so boring and repetitive.
Mm.
It's always the same thing. Like you gather resources, you unlock a new area, and then you gather more resources, and then you have your little clinic, and you have. It's been so long since I might get a few things wrong because it's been like years. You have patients at your clinic, and you have to do like a diagnostic and like heal them, and you get these little mini games, but they're always the same mini games, and they
Yeah.
just get like super tedious, and they're not challenging. So you'll do a rhythm mini game for like 30 seconds to 1 minute, but it's not challenging. It's just the same super simple thing. And I was just like dreading seeing patients in my clinic because I knew I had to go through these mini games and I did want to. And I think there's a way to skip the mini games later, but that was also kind of tedious. Yeah, it was just tedious, the gameplay loop.
Yeah, I will say that's maybe a reason why I liked it, because sometimes I just like mindless games like that.
Mm,
I personally think, like, I enjoyed this one, but I do kind of think it needs a little bit more. Like, I think this game with farming would be great. Just like another way to maybe get ingredients or something like that. I did really like the characters. You are right about the mini games. I feel like they were very like you're seeing them now.
mm,
They're really nothing.
yeah.
They're kind of more of a chore than anything. But the one thing I will say that I didn't enjoy about this game is it reaches a point, I would say probably around the 20-25 hour mark, where you can't really do anything. Like, it stops. You're kind of done with it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there is decorating, but there's not like really a lot to decorate with. But I could see that. Yeah, I could see that.
One thing I noticed too with this game, I played through the main story, and after I finished the main story, I realized that there was fishing in the game.
Yeah.
So the fishing was absolute. I don't know what you. I never fished. I found out like I was watching other reviews, and I found out that people were fishing.
Hmm.
I was never told how to fish during the main story. You never need it for the main story or like anything
Nope.
important. So I wish they had tied those other mechanics a little bit better. Because you can go through the whole game without doing one of its feature, which I feel like is bad game
Hmm.
design. I don't know. And maybe like you said, if we had farming or other little activities to spice up the gameplay as well, that could be fun.
Yeah. This was one that I would love to see another one, like a sequel with more stuff. But
Mm. And also
um,
they added marriage, right? I don't remember if when I played it, if there was romance.
yeah, I think they added that, and then
Mm.
they added some like cosmetic packs that you can get. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've not played after those updates. But
Mm.
once again, I wonder if the marriage, if it since it was added after the main story, once again, it's something it would have been fun to like tie with the
Mhm.
main story. It seems like it's another one of these mechanics that's just like detached from the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So, but I know a lot of people enjoyed this game. It has nice art style, but
Mhm.
I just really couldn't get into the gameplay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. What's another
Um,
one?
Another one that I think this is maybe the result of me only playing it on Switch, but my time at Sandrock um, was a game that I played on Switch, and I know for a fact that people enjoy this game a lot more on PC. It's one of those like, why are you buying it on Switch? Um, I was actually sent like a PR package for this, but I also bought the game digitally because I didn't like. I just wanted to support this team. I did not like my time at Porsche, and
Mm.
my time at Sandrock seemed a little bit more promising. And yeah, I just couldn't get into this one. I think my main problem was the performance, and I didn't want to like triple dip on PC just to maybe enjoy it. So yeah, for me, I just don't think I like the My Time games. Uh yeah, it just didn't hook me right away. This is one that you enjoy or
Yeah, I feel like the Switch version doesn't do this game justice.
yeah.
I I know like Peyton covered it as well. I think she played the Switch version too and didn't like it.
Yep.
I think if you play this game on Switch, you're not you're just not going to enjoy it. But I've been playing it on PC since it launched in early access. My time at Porsche, I had a good time with it, but I also had lots of issues with it because it was missing some quality of life features. But I feel like this one really fixes a lot of the problems that the first game had.
Mhm.
I also found the characters more interesting. There's just like more to do. There's more farming than my time at Porsche. I love the dating in this game. You can actually like go on a date with the different characters, and you can like
Yep.
hold hands, take pictures. You can play little mini games with them.
Yeah, I
It,
did like that. And I like the
mhm.
setting of the game too. It's pretty unique for one of these.
Yeah, we don't see many like cozy games, farming games in the desert, so I loved the desert setting. And even though you're in the desert, it's still so colorful and
Mhm.
vibrant. Such a beautiful game. But yeah, the Switch version, the performance is just not there. It's hard to get immersed into the world when it doesn't look as great.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't run as great, the cutscenes just everything just looks so rough on Switch. And they have improved it. They have like been working on it, but the Switch has its limits. So at one point, there's not too much.
Yeah, I think there
Like,
was like something with the shop or something where it didn't tell you like what the items were and the images were like super low res on the Switch, so I didn't know like what I was buying.
mm,
So, yeah, it was a mixture of performance but also like it was affecting the gameplay. But yeah, you're right. I think they have come out with some more updates.
mhm.
So, I don't know. Maybe I could revisit it, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like even with the updates, if you want to revisit it, I would strongly suggest getting the Steam
Mhm.
version. I'm
Yeah.
sure they would send you a key. Send them a little DM, and I'm sure they will send you a little key to check out the Steam version because
Yeah.
it's a game I feel like a lot of people are missing out just because
Mhm.
they have the misfortune of playing the Switch version first.
Yeah. Same thing with Palea. Palea was another one that I didn't, it didn't run well
Mm,
on Switch, so I couldn't really get immersed. But
yeah, you should try Paleo on PC
Mhm.
because I had a good time. I stopped playing it because live service games are just
Yeah, it's a
too
big
much to
investment.
keep up with. I just can't like all the updates and everything. One thing that's nice with Palea is that it's cross-platform, so you can start playing cross-play and cross-platform. So you can start playing on PC, and then you
Mhm.
can keep the same character and continue on your Switch. And
Oh, okay.
then you don't like the Switch version, you just go back to your PC and like you have the same character.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like some games just shouldn't be ported. If you know your game won't run too well on the Switch, like yes, it runs, but doesn't like run. It doesn't do the game justice.
Yeah.
But
And it's weird too, because like half the internet loves this, half the internet hates this, and I think it's because of that. Yeah, I think if you're a developer, you need to really sit down and might be the hard truth that it just doesn't work. I know that a lot goes into it with
mhm,
like merchandising and stuff, but yeah, I think it hurt the game.
yeah,
So.
that's a shame. Hopefully, their next game. I know they're working on a mobile game called
Mhm.
um, Project Me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be a similar vibe, but mobile. So hopefully they didn't lose you. Hopefully they'll have some game that you'll enjoy in the future.
I know. I'll give
Yeah.
him another chance. I'll give him one more
Mm,
chance. But yeah, my time at Porsche when I first played it, it was early access on Xbox, I think, and didn't really enjoy it. I played the Switch version, couldn't get into it, so I don't know. I'll give him another chance though.
yeah. Hopefully they can redeem themselves. Yeah. Another game that was disappointing for me is Everdream Valley. Have you played that one?
I have.
Mm,
I remember enjoying this for what it was. I feel like it took a lot of chances. It was, semi open world, but I remember there was just weird decisions with this one. I do remember the strangest milking game, milking mini game ever, where like Yeah, it was like motion control on the Switch
Yeah.
because I played it on the Switch.
I remember vaguely those mini games. I did not. I have maybe like 3 or 4 hours into this game.
Mhm.
I was following its development for a few years, and I thought the premise was interesting because in most farming games, your grandparents die, you take over their farm. But in this one, you play as a kid and you just visit your grandparents' farm. So your grandpa, your grandma are there, and
I love that idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
they give you chores. They like give you a little tutorial, tell you how the farm works. And one another unique feature of this game is that you can take control of some of the animals at night. So, for
Mhm.
example, you go to bed and then you take control of the dog, and you have to make sure that the wolves don't eat your sheep. So I found that this was a fun like idea, but overall, I just felt like it was clunky. The controls just didn't feel great. The farming didn't feel great. I think like when you're planting seeds or like there's not a lot of animations
No.
going on, and it just didn't have enough polish to make me want to play this game over like all of the other farming games. For me,
Mhm.
that's one thing that's really important is the polish and the controls. And if you don't have that, it's hard for me to get into it. Um,
Yep.
I played the Steam version, so the performance and graphics were fine. I'm sure it's a different story on the Switch,
Mhm. Yeah,
but
the Switch was a little messy. I do remember one thing that kind of let me down about this game was you're seeing the trailer and it looks very much like, oh my god, like this open world, but it did seem very limited because it was a lot of weird like this area is blocked until you rebuild the
mm,
bridge, or this area is blocked until you like cut this tree down or something. It was very like restricted, and I feel like when you did open those areas, there really wasn't much there. So yeah, with these open world games, the open world has to be good. Um, yeah,
yeah.
it just wasn't.
And I feel like it's so hard to do an open world farming game because
Hmm.
farming games revolve a lot around this idea that you're on your farm most of the time and you have to
Hmm.
come back home every night. So sometimes, if one day is like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you don't always have the time, or it can be stressful to like have to go out somewhere and like try to make it back in time. And also, one another like this game has so many great ideas. Another fun idea this game had was you could herd the sheep.
Hmm.
Like you had your dog and like you were trying to control the sheep and like get them in their pen. I thought it was such a clever idea because I've never seen that before. But once again, it was just so clunky. It was so frustrating. I was trying to control the sheep. I was trying to get them where they had to go, and like I kept losing them, or they would go like in a completely different direction. And it was just what could have been so fun and unique ended up just being so frustrating. And I just wanted to rage quit so many times.
Yeah. I
Mm,
kind of think if this game had a similar idea to A Wonderful Life, where, well, it's based around a summer, so maybe they can't do this, but it would kind of be cool to see your character like grow up and then maybe your parent or grandparents go away and you kind of
mm.
like take on more responsibility. But yeah, I think this one also ends. Like there's a story with this one and it ends at some point, but I didn't finish it. So,
I did not finish it, and I was told by some people who have played it, I think it ends kind of abruptly.
oh, okay.
Like you want to continue playing, and it just kind of ends, and maybe you don't get that feeling, that fulfillment of like having
Mhm.
completed the game. It just kind of ends on a not like the greatest note.
Yeah,
If
just
I can say,
abruptly.
yeah, like not a really nice conclusion.
Hmm.
This
Yeah,
one is
that's fair.
another disappointment for me.
Um, Another one. This is probably the most recent game on both of our
Mm,
lists. Uh, Ever After Falls. Um, okay, so I don't hate this one. I actually think it does a lot right. I love the art style. You don't really see this too often. It's very colorful, very like when you see this game, you're like, okay, this is Ever After Falls. It doesn't like look samey. I also like how there's animals similar to Animal Crossing. Now, granted, I haven't given this one a fair shot, but it's just like, what games will I realistically go back to? And this one is probably not on my list. One of my major gripes was there is combat, there are dungeons, but you can't really like when you're attacking monsters, you have to stay in one spot and there's like one swing animation. So yeah, the dungeons were something that I was actually looking forward to. I will say this is probably the one that I'm like least regretful towards, just because the writing is really good. There's a lot of cool ideas, and like I said, I do like the way the game looks, but the combat kind of brought it down. And yeah, I don't know. You played this one?
I played it for a few hours, and it's just hard to justify going back to it. I feel like it does have a few good ideas, but it doesn't do enough to like really. I don't crave going back to it like I'm craving to
Yeah.
go back to Fields of Mystria, for example. And there's a few things like the fishing, for example. I was so confused at first. You have this little like circle. There's two layers. There's like a purple layer and another like yellow layer, maybe. And if you get your little bobber in the first layer, you get a fish. If you get it through the middle, you get a second fish. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people were confused with the fishing. It's a little bit weird. Sometimes I feel like foreign games try too hard to make their fishing unique when
Hmm.
you can do like a fishing like in Rune Factory or Animal Crossing where you just press one button.
Hmm.
And sometimes that works. More often than not, that's more than enough. So I feel like they tried a little bit too hard to be unique with the fishing. And yeah,
Yeah.
I loved how you can have your pet help you on the farm. That was nice. You can have your pet till the soil,
Yeah, that
uh,
was cool.
water the crops. I think later you can have drones. So there's a bit of automation,
Hmm.
like so you can spend more time doing other things than farming, such as going into the dungeons. But once again, the combat is maybe not the best.
Yeah, this one again had a lot of good ideas. But yeah, I don't know. When I turn on my Switch or whatever, I don't feel like going back to this one. I feel like that's what regrets are all about. Like something that you
Hmm.
bought that you're just not craving going back to. But yeah, the fishing was another, yeah, that was a weird thing. Cause like it kind of had the system of Animal Crossing and like all those games where you have to find the fish, but
Yeah.
then you have this mini game that you might fail. So yeah. I think they got some backlash on that actually. I think they're gonna change it, but
Hopefully they can adjust and change because it has, like you said, like a very unique art style. It reminds me of like Flash games
mm-hmm.
from like 20 years ago, and it feels kind of nostalgic. I found that the writing was fun as well. Like the
Mm-hmm.
what I got to see of the story was
Yep.
interesting so far.
I would still recommend this one
Mm,
because it runs well, and I think the strength of this one is story. So if you don't like story, you might not get as much out of it. But
yeah,
yeah, just one game I just don't really feel like going back to.
yeah, and it runs well on the Switch too. Like a
Mhm.
lot of these games, like Sandrock, you didn't like because the Switch version is so bad. That this, like Hoko Life, kind of same. It's just not that great on the Switch.
Yep.
But I feel like this one could be a great pick if you don't have a PC and you're looking for a new farming sim
Mhm.
that will perform well on the Switch. I feel like that could be a good one. So yeah, a lot of these games are not necessarily bad,
Yep.
but one game that is no doubt not a great game is Oriental Valley. I don't know if you've heard of this game or have you had the chance.
I have not, but I'm very interested.
So this game, I saw it on Steam like a few months back, and it released. I think it released in May, and I wanted to give it a try. And I was very skeptical at first because it seems like there's so much to do in the game. For those who are watching the footage on YouTube, there's like this portion where it almost looks like Farming Simulator. You have this big tractor. There's also like different towns. You've got like so many characters. It seems like there's so much going on, and I was curious about it. I went into the game, and it's just the weirdest thing. It feels like a weird fever dream. You've got these characters. So half of the character models are just blank
Mm,
mannequins. They're just
weird.
like white blank mannequins. And one of the first characters you meet is called Simp. And he comes to your house and he tells you that no one loves him and he's gonna leave the town. And his name is Simp. And he's gonna come back in 3 days and you have to get some crops for him. And I forgot to do the crops and like he was so mad at me. Anyway, the writing is just so weird. It's so hard to describe. There's also this there's this girl who's collecting mushroom. Her name is Mushroom Girl with a Basket, and she has model, so it's the same like blank canvas of the
Oh,
character. Anyway, she wants you to collect mushrooms for her, and then she says like, I need help to collect those mushrooms because I lost my basket. And then you collect the mushrooms, and then she puts the mushrooms in her pocket, and then she leaves. So like she didn't need a basket because she actually put them in her pocket. So
that's so weird. The trailer looks like
it
there's a lot of content,
it looks
but
like, yeah, you can see combat, you can see like you're riding all of these animals, and yeah, this whole game. I think the words I'm saying right now, I have a video on this game that explains better, but it's just so weird. All the dialogues,
mhm.
nothing makes sense. The controls are a bit clunky as well, like the farming. There's really nothing special. It's such an odd game. I would say I had a fun time because I played it on stream and there was just like so much funny things happening. When you start the game, you're on this bus. So that's the whole story. You're on this bus, you're trying to go back to your hometown. And the mayor of this little village drops a box of nails on the street. So the bus stops. And then you go out of the bus. And then the bus disappears. So you're stuck in this little town.
Mhm.
And then the mayor gives you a house. And your goal is to find a way back to your hometown. And
That's
I
so
don't know.
weird.
It's just so weird. And every time when I was playing this game, I felt like it was almost like a parody of a
Mm.
farming game. Like, I wasn't sure if the game was taking itself seriously or not.
It
Uh
kind of looks like it's poking fun a little bit.
yeah, but I don't know. It's not.
I haven't even
It's
heard of this one.
yeah. It's only on Steam. And the thing that's the weirdest thing is that it has mostly positive reviews on Steam.
Hmm.
Oh, now it went down to mixed. Actually, when the game came out, I think it was like very positive and then mostly positive, and then now it's mixed. So I don't know. There were lots of like Chinese reviews at first when the game came out, and now I feel like there's more English reviews coming in. So I don't know if the first reviews
Oh.
were like paid. I don't want to like
Oh,
accuse
like
them of
botted.
anything, but
Yeah.
I think the first reviews maybe were a bit sketchy. But most of the recent ones are quite negative reviews.
There's
So
probably an audience for this, but it does kind of seem like it doesn't know what it wants to be.
yeah, it's just trying to do too much and it doesn't do anything well. And all of the assets too, that's one thing, are like mismatched because you've got these blank characters with the super realistic environments.
Yep.
You also have these little like Pokemon like creatures that are I was able to find one in my playthrough, but I couldn't figure out how they actually work. But like you've got some of like very cartoony creatures, realistic environments. You've got these blank characters. It's like a mismatch of different things. It's just super weird. I don't think a lot of people have played this game,
Mhm.
but yeah, I got a refund for it.
Oh
I
wow.
rarely ask for refunds on Steam, but I had to for this one.
What's the time frame for that? It's like for a refund.
So it's usually 2 hours, but I think I
Oh, okay.
played for 3 or 4 hours, and they still managed
Oh, that's
to,
good.
yeah. You can like explain your reasons, and
Mhm.
unless you like do it all the time, I think once in a while, even if you've played more than the 2 hour limits,
Mhm.
you can get a refund, which is good. That's one thing I love about Steam. If you're not sure about a game, you can see if you really don't like it, then you can get a
Yeah.
refund. Mm.
This last one is more of a hear me out because I know that you enjoy this series. And I love Story of Seasons, but the first Doraemon Story of Seasons, not the second one, is one that I regret just because I didn't pick up the first one right when it came out. But when the second one was announced, I picked up the first one. And then once the second one came out, there's really no reason to play the first one anymore because I feel like the second one improves on just about everything. I love the look of this. This is probably one of my favorite looking farming games like ever. I think it's so cool. There are some things that I don't enjoy about it, like there's no romance because you play as a kid,
Mhm.
and like you live in a house with a bunch of people. But the second one introduces like decorating and like you can like move certain things. Like there's a tool in the game where you can like move your crops. There's just a bunch of like little quality of life things with the second one, and it's nothing like major. Like it's pretty much the core game. They even look the same, but a bunch of little quality improvements go a long way. So I think because the first one is now outdated, I would say like don't even get the first one. But I like the second one a lot. So that was my reasoning behind that.
Mm. Yeah, I have to agree because the two games are so similar. It is definitely the kind of, and the story is separate. So it's
Mhm.
definitely the kind of games where you don't have to play the first one. You just go straight to the second one because everything that's in the first game is in the second game. And yeah, like you said, it just improves every little flaw that the first game had. Like a few flaws that it had was that first of all, the intro was so long. It took a really long time to really get into the
Mhm.
game and unlock the different mechanics. It was also quite hard to progress in the story to like trigger the events to
Yep.
like make progress. Whereas in the second game, there's like a quest log and you can see everything you have to do, all of your requirements. And that's one thing I love about these two games, though, is that there is a lot of story. It's a very like story driven
Yep.
game. Uh, but yeah, I just have to agree. There's no reason to go back to the first game. If you really want to play two games, then make sure you play the first one first, finish it, and then go into the second one. Otherwise, you really won't want to go back to the first one just because of all of these low quality of life
Mhm.
things that were added. But honestly, the art style is so amazing. I would love to
So
see
good.
more, even like maybe a mainline Story of Seasons game
Mhm.
using that art style, but like where you could get married and do everything that you do in the regular Story of
Yeah.
Seasons. It's just it has all of these watercolor and
And
very
the
beautiful game.
frustrating thing is the second one. So, Doraemon Story Seasons Friends of the Great Kingdom, it doesn't have an English physical version. It only has, I think it only has like a Japanese or, like a UK version. So, and I like physical games. I like collecting. So that was frustrating. But yeah, it's the second one just improves on every way. Like there's even like dynamic areas in the second one where you're not just looking top down, you can like see things like. So yeah, it's just a very good game. The first one's good too, like if you can find it cheap or if it's on like a deep discount. But yeah, like you said, play that before the second one because it'll pretty much be obsolete.
Absolutely. I think for the second one, there might be sometimes they do like Asian version that has
Yeah,
English on it. I don't know if they did that with this one.
they might. Yeah, I think
I'm
so.
not too sure. I know I have a physical of the Japanese version just for like collecting purposes,
Hmm.
and then I bought the digital version to like play it in English. But yeah, I
Yeah.
wish they had. I don't know if they're gonna do a third one. If they do, I do hope they do a physical like worldwide
Hmm.
release.
Yeah.
So
This is a new thing for the Switch, or have they done Doraemon stuff before?
no, it's there's been other like Doraemon games in the past, but
Hmm.
not with Story of Seasons. It's the first
Okay.
like spin-off with Story of Seasons. And interestingly, this game is published by Bandai Namco. So it's
Hmm.
not made by Marvelous, who does like all the Story of Seasons games. So it is.
Oh, okay.
So that's why some of the mechanics are different. Like at its core, it's very similar, but that's why some of the things are different than what you
Hmm.
usually get from Story of Seasons games. Yeah, so we'll definitely get the second one. And I think that's all the games we were the most disappointed with, or the games that we regret playing the
Hmm.
most. Is there like one thing for you? I find that a lot of these games were not necessarily like super bad, but they had one or two things that just kind of ruined the experience. Is there one thing that's like a big deal breaker for you in the firing sim? Like that game could be great, but it has that one thing and
Mm.
that
I
ruins it.
think it's, I think it's very simple for me. It's like playing out a few days and seeing if I like the gameplay loop. I feel like that, and just like it's little things too, like UI and stuff. Like I think the first Doraemon Story Seasons, it didn't even show your stamina on the screen or something like that.
Yeah, you have to check the menu every time.
Yeah. So just little things like that. Ever After Falls, I kind of like was going through the days and didn't really feel like, oh, just one more day sort of thing. But oftentimes it's it could be something like visually, or I mean, definitely performance with my time at Sandrock. But yeah, Hoko Life, the characters just I wasn't interested in talking to them. So I would actually say like a lot of the NPCs have something to do with that too. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's mostly like the gameplay loop and like how a day plays out.
Yeah, that's important, I guess, especially in those games. Every day is gonna be like very similar. So if one day
Mhm.
is not fun, if day one is not fun, day 100 is not gonna be that much more fun.
Yeah.
For me, I would say a big thing is, like I pointed out earlier, like the polish and the
Mhm.
controls. I feel like if the farming doesn't feel right in a farming game, if the developers didn't put enough thought into making like the actual farming fun, there's very little chance that the rest of the game will be great. So
Yep.
usually I check like how the farming feels and how the control feels, and usually that's a pretty good indicator of if I will enjoy the game or not. And I feel like most of these games that I played had um, those issues. So
Yeah.
that's a really big one for me. And another thing, this happens a lot with indie games. A lot of the assets I'm seeing are being reused. For example,
Mhm.
Everdream Valley and Oriental Valley. First of all, these names are not very creative. So many farming games with like Island, something Valley. They need to like come up with something better. But a lot of these games have the same animal models. So
Mhm.
there's this pack. A lot of people in my community is familiar with that one because I always like talk about it. There's this pack of animals in the Unity store that's $34.99, and it comes with like 3D models for like a cow, some chickens, an alpaca, and a lot of these games, indie games, use the same pack.
Mhm.
So you're gonna play a New Leaf Memories, and you're gonna see this cow. You're gonna play Everdream Valley, you're gonna see that cow. You're gonna play Garden Pause, it's the same cow. And it's just hard for me to get immersed into the game
Yep.
when the developers don't create their own assets. Um, I'm all for like assets when it can make developing your game a lot easier and like save you time and money. But I feel like if you make a farming game, you should like, I don't know, make your own cow, make your own chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like especially yeah, because you're gonna get attached to those. Like if you were reusing tree assets or like weed assets or something, that would be different.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I saw your post and I saw some people were giving you flack for it. I
Yeah.
agree. I and you had I think Claudia responded saying that some teams do it for budget reasons, which is
Yeah.
totally fine. But yeah, I kind of think that having your own identity is important. Like I just found out that Sprout Valley is an asset pack.
Yeah, because I saw the other day, I was looking on Steam, and there was another farming sim with the same little rabbit.
Yep.
And it was also like a very similar premise, very similar game.
Hmm.
And yeah, so it's kind of funny to think that even like the main character of the game is an asset. And like at any point, another developer can just come in and make a game with the same character because you didn't make your own.
Yeah. I
So
don't like that.
in the long term, your game will lose like, if no one else is using the asset, it doesn't like seem like it and no one knows. But like
Mhm.
eventually, if there's more games popping up with the same stuff, they just lose their originality.
Yeah,
Hmm.
especially if the other game, like Sprout Valley, is a pretty good game. It's like a pick up and play smaller game,
Yeah,
but that other game that you're talking about like might not be good, but someone might see it and be like, "Oh, I love this game. I've seen positive reviews," and then they play it, and it's just
they will
not.
think it's the same thing and get
Yeah.
disappointed. Mm. I love to see a bit more creativity from these developers. I think it's worth the investment to like
Hmm.
make at least make your own animals and stuff like that. Yeah, so these were the games we were the most disappointed with. And now we are going to enter our news segment of the podcast. And we have a few things this week. So the first news is regarding Marvelous, and they are doing a little bit of a restructuration of their company. So for those who don't know, Marvelous Inc. is a company based in Japan, and they develop and publish game series like Story of Seasons, Rune Factory. These are their two main series. They're also working on an upcoming game called Pharmagia. And in Europe, their games are published by Marvelous Europe. But in the US, 10 years ago, they acquired Exceed Games, which was a US based company. And then they started working with Exceed Games to publish their games like Rune Factory and Story of Seasons in the West. And so they've been working together. And also, Exceed Games have been doing also localization and publishing for third party titles. We can see some here. There's the Ease series, there's Corpse Party, there's also like Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. So they've been working with either indie developers or other studios to publish. And now they are kind of like splitting their activities a little bit. So they will have the Marvelous USA brand that's going to publish the Story of Seasons, Rune Factory games, all the series that are owned by Marvelous Inc. And then the Exceed Games brand is going to focus on all the third party and indie stuff. So instead of having everything under Exceed Games, it's just going to be having a clearer distinction. So Marvelous USA on one side and Exceed Games. In the end, I don't think it's going to change anything in regards to the quality of the games or anything like that, because both companies belong to Marvelous Inc. So it's just a clearer path. It just feels more organized. It feels more neat. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts about that? Or
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think we're gonna see much of a difference here. I think it's great. I love these two teams, and I think what Exceed is the one publishing Moonlight Peaks.
yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to. I mean, obviously, I love the big franchises, but I'm excited to play some of the more smaller indie ones as well. So this is
Mm-hmm.
good. This is a good thing.
It is a good thing. And another thing that Marvelous pointed out in their press release is that they were moving forward with larger, more ambitious scope of development and budgets. So I'm not too sure if that's just for their third party titles or if it's their first party titles as well. But
Mm-hmm.
it seems like maybe they want to like increase the quality and the scope of their Rune Factory games, their F Seasons games. I know it seems like the development is taking a bit longer than usual. Like we're used to always having like a new Story of Seasons every year,
Mm-hmm.
and they've teased the new game, but we still don't know too much about it. So maybe they're trying a different approach of like
Yeah.
investing more time and money into each
They
project.
both look way bigger scope. Like that Rune Factory, the
Project
what was it called?
Dragon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that looks incredible. And then the Story of Seasons, the fact that you need a glider, like that has me so excited for a big world. Um, so yeah, I think they're already ramping up and scaling their games because they are successful. Like a lot of people love them. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So very excited for their newest games, and I think it's just gonna make it clearer for everybody, like the distinction between Marvelous and Exceed. And have you looked up their next game, Pharmagia? Do you think you'll be playing that this
I will
November?
be checking it out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember it was in their Marvelous Direct, right?
Yeah, the Marvelous Game Showcase, and it was in a Nintendo Direct as well in June.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't show too much of like the farming stuff. Like I think they did show like a couple crops and stuff, but I'm interested in more of that obviously, but yeah, I think this will be one that I'll be checking out for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I think it will be mostly like a little bit of farming, but mostly exploring the dungeons
Yeah.
and
Kind of
fighting
like
with these
Harvestella.
monsters. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. And then we have two trailers to watch. So one trailer is for Outbound, which is a game where you have a little caravan, a little camper van, I guess. And it's a cozy open world 3D games. And we have also a trailer for Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home, which should release later this month. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with Outbound first.
Yeah, we'll keep the most exciting for. I think they're both really exciting, but I'm so curious about Home Sweet Home,
Mhm.
seeing how it looks like. So Outbound, this game was announced a while ago. This is not their first trailer, but they just launched their Kickstarter campaign, which is doing pretty well. It got funded in 2 hours.
Wow.
They've got 75,000 US dollars out of their goal of 32,000. So there's no doubt It's being completely it's doing like incredibly well. They will no doubt reach a lot of their stretch goals. And so in this game, you have a van and you build a base on top of your van that you can like retract, and then you can move to a different place and you can like open up your base again. So like you've got this portable base where you can grow crops, you can garden, you have these things for like wind turbines and solar panels to get energy to power your different makers, your different crafting machines. You can drive, you can customize your van. It just looks so beautiful, and can't wait for it. Have you been? Do you know a bit about this one?
I do. I saw it recently, and I love the look of it, and love that it's a first person. I feel like we don't get a lot of first person cozy farm games.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like there will be a little bit of strategy too, because like you said, you have to build this on top of your van. And it looks like I feel like the whole time you're going to be kind of struggling with space in terms of like what crops you're growing and stuff. And I love the way that you could just kind of pick everything up and just go. So yeah, I have high hopes for this one. This is good.
Yeah, and they will do an alpha. So if you back the game on Kickstarter, you can join the alpha.
Hmm.
So it's gonna be like alpha, early access, and so on. A few information that they just revealed is that the game will have a multiplayer mode, so you can play with up to four
Nice.
people in total, and you can all jump into the same van. I don't know if you can have like multiple vans follow each other. There will be different biomes, so each biome will have like different weather. So you'll have to maybe think about that when you grow crops or try to get like energy for your solar panel. Maybe some biomes will be better than others. There's gonna be so much to do. The driving seems so fun. Also, there's gonna be like a kind of jeep or like off-road vehicle
Hmm.
on top, like in addition to the van. We can see some of it a bit later in this trailer, but it just looks so promising, and it's from the same developers that made Above Snakes. I don't know if you've
Oh,
played that.
okay.
Yeah, it was a pretty good game. It was like a completely different style than this one,
Hmm.
but like the quality was there. It was fun, so I'm
Yeah,
excited
I'm
for it.
excited to see how in depth the like decorating and stuff. Like it looks pretty in depth. Like you can move counters and stuff, and so I think that's where the enjoyment for me is gonna come. But yeah, I like the way that you could just get up and move. It's
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yeah, and like you said, it's gonna be just so refreshing to have something like first person because we don't see.
Hmm.
I know a lot of people get motion sickness, so I think a lot of developers avoid first person for that reason.
Hmm.
But personally, I think it's nice to have something
Yeah.
different. So I'll make sure to put the link in the description to the Kickstarter campaign. It just started today. There's 28 days left. So if anyone's interested in backing this game, and it will come to consoles as well. So it will be Steam first, and then all. It says Nintendo Switch. I honestly I can't imagine this game running on the Switch. Kind of like Sandrock and
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like if it ends up on the Switch, it's
Yeah, like there are some like I think of Skyrim where
yeah,
that's like a first person thing and it does run well, but also that's a huge team. So
yeah, exactly,
yeah, I don't know. I'd probably go PC on this one. It
yeah.
looks like a PC game.
Hmm. I feel like with Kickstarter, a lot of developers are tempted to say Switch to get
Hmm.
more people, but then like what's happening with Sunhaven and Coral Island, where people are
Yep.
just like waiting for years and years. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. So that's Outbound, and we also have a trailer, the first trailer for Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home.
And you've never seen this yet, right?
I've never seen this trailer.
Okay.
And so Netsme announced this game a few months back. It should be releasing later this month. There's no release date yet. We saw some screenshots, but here's the first trailer. So we're just gonna have a look. I'm gonna put the audio for this one as well. It looks very similar to Harvest Moon: The Winds of Anthos.
I got that right away.
Yeah,
Looks really good.
it looks good. It seems like there's maybe more details in the environment, like
Hmm.
more stuff going on.
Got Doc there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks very Winds of Anthos. All the character portraits and
Very similar. So this will be for mobile, so Android and iOS. We're seeing some of the farming now. Some animals. Even the UI is so similar to Winds of Mantos. I feel like it's not gonna reinvent anything. I feel like it's gonna be pretty much Winds of Mantos, but for mobile and like smaller scale. New characters.
Now, do you think this could make its way over to console? Because wasn't Light of Hope a mobile game?
Oh, this horse race looks nice. I think maybe in the future. Yeah, because Light of Hope started on mobile and eventually made its way to console. So I think it could happen, and it will be like a one-time purchase, right? There shouldn't be any microtransactions or anything like that in this game. So who knows if it does well? If it does well, it could come to console. So this trailer, I mean, it didn't show anything completely surprising. I don't think it's pretty much like standard Harvest Moon, but I think it could be fun to have this, on your phone, like just a little farming sim on the go.
Yeah, I think this is a better format for them right now, because I think Winds of Anthos was very ambitious, and I just think that the world wasn't super interesting, but scaled back like this, I actually think it's pretty nice.
Yeah, that was my biggest gripe with Winds of Anthos, just how big the world was.
Yeah.
There was just not too much in it. So if it's like similar mechanics and like a similar concept, graphics, but in just one town, I think it could be fun. But yeah, I'm not expecting anything like groundbreaking or anything like that. But
The horse racing, the different events, that looks cute.
yeah, I'm looking forward to those festivals. So I will be playing this game. It's gonna be interesting to have something on mobile, because there's not that many like mobile farming games that are just like a one-time purchase. Yeah, I wonder if there's gonna be anything like special with the touchscreen. Like in Everdream Valley, where you like milk the cow with like a little mini game or something like that. Like back in the days with the Harvest Moon games on DS, you had a lot of these little mini games with like the touchscreen. I wonder if they will do anything like that, or they'll just keep it kind of straightforward.
I would bet that the horse racing, you probably have to tap your screen to go faster, or like, click on a carrot icon to get more stamina or something. Yeah, this will be interesting. I'm not usually a mobile player, but this looks like pretty high quality. I'm interested. Is it gonna be free, or is it?
It will be a one-time purchase. So
nice.
I'm assuming it's probably going to be like, I don't know, $15, $20, something along those lines. I think Light of Hope was something like that. And they said there would be no microtransactions. So you just buy it, you play it. One thing I'm wondering is if it will be easy to just jump into the game quickly, and if it auto saves, or if the days, like what is the length of one day? Because with a lot of mobile games, you play like, I don't know, for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then you gotta do something, right? And you will stop playing. So I wonder if it saves all the time, or if there's like, I wonder how the pacing of the game will be, and see if it really works well for mobile.
I'm gonna make a prediction here. I think this time next year, this will be on the Switch.
Yeah.
Now don't wait, because I just said that. Like, I think it's gonna be mobile first, but I do think we might have a Light of Hope situation here.
I think so too. I wouldn't be surprised. Or Switch too, because next year we don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
like whichever next console. I wouldn't be surprised if it came to consoles, especially since Netsme loves re-releasing things. I think a few days ago they re-released Harvest Moon One World.
Yep.
Complete collection. So you would think they would maybe, I don't know, do something with Winds of Maltos again, but they re-released One World, which I was a little bit surprised.
Yeah, it comes with all the DLC and like a plushie.
Yeah. Are you getting it? Did you like One World, or?
I actually didn't mind One World. I thought it, it's definitely not my favorite, but it's not as bad as I think a lot of people say. I'm interested, kind of, because like everything is included, and I do like the plushie, but Yeah. Are you gonna get
I think it is as bad as people say. So
it? Maybe I'm confusing them with Light of Hope. I don't know.
One World is better than Light of Hope for sure. But I don't know, it just felt like there was a big lack of polish. Like, for example, a lot of shopkeepers didn't have names. I know that's one little thing that stood out to me. And it's kind of like Winds of Antos in many ways, where the world was so big and you had to like go from one place to the next. And there were like so many different towns, and it just felt like they tried to do too much, tried to do too many things, and none of them were right. And you had like, to move your house around. I didn't like that.
I think I am getting those mixed up. Yeah, I think One World was not good.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's confusing because a lot of their games do look quite similar, and especially like graphically, but now I feel like they are in the right direction. With Winds of Antos was better. I feel like this one could be fun as well.
Yeah, they're getting there. It's kind of interesting talking about Natsume in a good light for once, because I feel like, you know, they've been getting so much flack, but they're trying. This looks pretty good, and I like the idea that it's a one-time purchase, because I don't know if I would invest tons of money in this, but yeah, try it out.
Yeah, we will definitely try it out and let you know if it's any fun. Whenever, I'm surprised that we still don't have the release date, and it should be coming out this month.
Yeah, it just says August.
Yeah, it says August, so maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see later this month. But Pat, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your the games you were the most disappointed in, and discussing those foreign game news with me. Is there anything else you'd like to say or add before wrapping up the episode?
No, just thank you for having me, and big fan of your channel, and yeah, hopefully people don't get too mad at our choices, but I think we gave them reasons.
Yeah, I think they were all justified choices, but please let us know in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. Do you agree? Do you disagree with our choices? Let us know which games you are disappointed in. If you're looking for more Cozy Games podcast, feel free to check out the Slow Burn podcast with Pat, Min, and Payden, which were all guests on this podcast as well. So feel free to check that out. And yeah, thank you so much for having me again. And wait, thank you so much for joining me. I mean, and we'll see you all next time. Bye bye.
See ya.